Hello, MMA community, YouTubers, and all you MMA fans who are going to be excited about this weekend's UFC fight card coming up, where we got a lot of money to be made because the MMA gods have blessed us with one of the best paying, the best value I've ever seen on one single card. And the reason why I say that is if you guys look at the odds where they're at right now, your biggest favorite of the night, mind you, we're coming from a week on Saturday, the last UFC event where we had a favorite at minus 1,400. Favorite was minus 1,400. We had another favorite at minus 500. The week prior to that, we had a minus 700, minus 400s and 500s. This is a week where, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Out of 13 fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them are only in the minus 100s. Do you know what that means to a bettor? Somebody who bets on these cards? 10 out of 13 of these fights are not even minus 200 favorites. That means 2 and 3 leg parlays are going to be paying the equivalent odds as 6 leg parlays would have. And someone who's a 6, 7 leg, 9 leg, 10 leg parlay king, who's cashed in more of those legs than people do cash in 3-leggers. Imagine what we could do in a card like this. So I'm very excited. I can't imagine how we're not going to make more money on this card than any other card if we just even keep the same accuracy. We don't have to have better accuracy. We can even afford to have slightly less as good of an accuracy as we typically do on our UFC cards, and we should still make our best killing off this card. Sorry, and also I wanted to apologize for you guys not seeing as many videos last week. I'm focusing more time on doing the things that I need to do for my patrons to be more accurate and to give them more bang for their buck, to let them know what the benefits are for being a part of the Patreon. They're getting things that I'm unable, like the post weigh-in, post face-off segment, the fades of the week, or the underdogs. Those are benefits that only my patrons are gonna reap now, because last week, if you guys were a part of the Patreon, you would have saw last minute adjustments. All my parlays, more than 80% of my parlays and 100% of my last minute parlays did not include Mike Perry or Koski. So out of 25 combinations we've made, only 2 of them had Koski in them, and they were tiny wagers. None of my big wagers, none of my big parlays or safe parlays had Louis Koski. And as I posted on my Twitter, I showed you guys a conversation between me and the patrons that I told them the guy I noticed was much bigger than Koski at the face-offs, which made me more hesitant, because in my studies I not only told you guys this guy is he's not a scrub. He was a former champion in his other organizations. He also was very strong. He's not the type of guy that could be put away quickly and easily. And all we know about Koski is how he does it mostly in the first rounds. So until I can see him proven outside the first round, and on a guy that's not smaller but bigger than him, you're not going to get me to put no minus 500 on the second biggest favorite of the night on a guy who's not even proven in the UFC league, because he's besides Dana White, he's never won a UFC fight before. So I let everybody know, don't put him in any parlays, don't single bet him, just don't bet on him at all. So that saved a lot of people money if you guys were in my Patreon, because I did not post that segment in the YouTube channel this time around. I also let people know, because of Mike Perry, his mental state and his physical condition. He went from having a solid 6-pack to having flab on his gut. So that told me he wasn't taking his training serious. As you guys could tell from what Tim Means was saying in the post-fight interview, he said that Mike Perry was sending him direct messages showing him how he was eating cheeseburgers and pizzas days prior to the weight cut and fight. So that said where he was at and how serious he was taking this fight. And if you're not able to be in your best shape against the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, I don't expect you to be able to put him away or outpoint him. So that's why I let everybody know that now this is no longer a I don't sway. I was never like very strong on Mike Perry. I was more like I told them 60. I do a thing with my page. I let them know not just who I'm thinking is going to win, but what the percentages are. Like, for example, for Mike Perry, I said it was a 60-40 fight. 60% I was leaning towards Mike Perry before we found out about the weight cut issue. So post-fight weigh-in, post-fight face-off and weigh-ins, it was no longer 60-40. It became more like 50-50 at best. And that's why I told them that's not a type of a percentage you want to put on a parlay or even single bet. So we stayed off of that fight as well. And that's why we had a successful night. If you followed the system, if you did my prop bets, I told you guys Jennifer Maia was not someone who had been put away, submitted, or knocked out in over 8 years. Nobody was able to put her away or submit her. So I said, instead of paying minus 1,400, or you got to bet $1,400 for $100 only, I found you guys a way to make plus money. It was plus 170. So you get twice your money back, almost 3 times your money back if you played the prop bet that was over rounds. On the over rounds or decision prop, both of those hit. So we had a good night overall. If you did the single bets, my value play of the day was Paul Craig and Moreno. They were paying the best out of all the favorites. They were the highest paying favorites, and I was most confident about those. Everything I said would have happened was going to happen on both of those fights. So now let's focus on next week. UFC ESPN 18, Blaydes versus Lewis, coming on November 28th, this Saturday. I'm going to give you guys, unless you're a patron, you're not going to get any more of my entire full breakdowns. So I'm just going to give you half of the card on this segment, okay? I'll give you guys a couple of fights that will have some value. So at least you're getting something worth by being a subscriber to my channel. Even if you're not a patron, you're subscribing, you're hitting the like button. It keeps me coming back making these videos. So I'm going to show you some love back and give you guys some underdogs that have good value on them in this card. One of my underdog picks of this card is, I think this may be the opener. And let's see here. The last time I bet on Nate Maness as an underdog, he was a -3 or -400. He was a huge underdog, and also he was the opener as well. He beat an undefeated prospect, Joe Munoz Jr., I think his name is, but he was coming in with some hype. He was supposed to be the more skilled, more this and more that, and that's why he came in as a big favorite. And just to tell you a little bit about what UFC thinks about Nate Maness. Joseph Nate Maness, and his debut opener, his initial first contract to start his first fight coming into the UFC was supposed to be against a veteran, a big name in the game, Ray Borg. That's who they matched him up with as his first fight. That's how highly the UFC thinks of this guy. But for some reason, and let me tell you guys about value. You want to know value? Joe Munoz. So remember, the odd makers, the professionals who work for the casinos and the bookies that give you the lines where they're supposed to be at so that the casinos don't get killed, they open the lines at -180. 2-1 favorite for Joseph Maness. And now he's the underdog. They got him at +110. And for some reason, they're putting Luke Sanders. Luke Sanders never beat his last win was against the guy who's on a minus like 5 or 6 fight losing streak, and that's who they're putting him up against to give good shows, because he's not something special. He's not dangerous anywhere. He's going to be the way smaller guy. The size difference, the reach advantage, coming in with a guy who knows how to use it. He's excellent at jabbing and using his wrestling and his kicks and his boxing and his all around just a great. He was in his last organization, this guy's won belts, 3 different belts in 3 different weight classes. That's how awesome that guy is, man. I don't know why he's an underdog now, but people are showing love to the other guys, so we're going to take advantage of that. And I got money on Joseph Nathan Maness. He's got a 12-1 record. His only loss came a long time ago against the guy that was way bigger and stronger, and that's the only type of guy, and he had a pretty good record. He's an impressive fighter that beat him. It was a while back, and unless you're bigger than this guy or have some specific skills that make you very dangerous and, you know, standing out from the typical type of person with those skill sets that makes you like a Damian Maya or somebody with just like above average skill sets, you're not, or way bigger an advantage of size maybe. I can't imagine somebody else like without those attributes being able to beat a Joseph Manez. I see a lot of good things with that guy in the future. So this will be his second fight now, second time coming in as an underdog and second time opening up the card. And I have a good feeling this will be like deja vu, and he'll do me right by me putting money on him as an underdog. He's only 29 years old, so he's at the peak of his prime, I would say. He's at the best years of his prime. Let's see, you know, he's got a lot of heart, this guy. He doesn't go down. So even if you put him through some adversity, he's not the type to kind of like fold and ball up. He's the type that if you give him some adversity, he'll come back with even more pressure, more strikes, more just he'll bring the dog out more than he had it out before. So I definitely like him as an underdog. All right, who else can we give you guys as an underdog? Do I have any other? I know I had some more underdogs. Hold on. Okay, let's go with Devin Clark. He's 12-0 record. They call him the Brown Bear. He's also kind of at the peak of his prime. He's 31, 32 now, maybe 32 years old. He's got 3 knockouts under his record, 1 submission, so he's a little bit of mixed. He's got a mixed skill set. Very good shape. He's coming in very. He fought Alonzo Menfield. I think he's the guy who gave him his first loss. A unanimous decision. Very impressive. He was able to, if he can avoid the danger that Alonzo Menfield has to bring in to the fight, then I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to avoid Anthony the Lionheart Smith's danger areas. And you know, he was this guy is real impressive. Like I did some research on him. He's a junior college national wrestling champ. He's a 2-time NJCAA All-American. He was the South Dakota state champion. He was an amateur boxer, and boxing is a crucial part of MMA, in my opinion. It's one of the best qualities to have other than wrestling. Boxing is very important, and he's a good boxer. He's a good wrestler. He's coming in the more physical, better specimen out of the two. He's averaging 3 takedowns per 15 minutes, so as opposed to like 0 point something, not even 1 takedown per fight that Anthony Smith's going to be coming in. He's got a 60% accuracy rate for his significant strikes. His significant strikes are about 3.5, 3.5 strikes landed per minute, and only absorbs about 2, as opposed to Anthony Smith, who absorbs 4.5 and only lands 2 point something. So that tells you the story right there. Also, the takedown defense is 85% for Devin Clark, and unless this guy can take, Anthony Smith is not going to be the better wrestler or grappler, and with 85% takedown defense, I don't see this going to the ground and staying down there for too long, where Anthony Smith may be a bit of a danger to Devin, but I don't see that happening. So as an underdog especially, and with the way Anthony Smith's just been on the decline, I think that beating he took by Glover Teixeira, where he showed real bad IQ as well. He just gassed out on the first round. He had nothing left in him and was not willing to lose the battle to, you know, to win the war and fight another day. He kind of like, it took years out of his career on that fight. I mean, the guy was losing his teeth as he was picking up his teeth and telling his corner not to throw in the towel when there was no path to victory. The guy was defeated, and he could have just had them throw in a towel and, you know, left without having to go through 5 surgeries and broken ribs and orbital and all these different things that he had to go through because he did, again, not show good IQ. So for that reason, another reason is why I'm going to be going with the Brown Bear, Devin Clark, who's actually looking to be more impressive each fight as opposed to Anthony Smith, who's getting worse. All right. Now we're gonna go with the next fight. This is no order, so I do want to start with now the main event. Curtis Blaydes. There's a couple of mismatches on this fight card. This is one of them. Curtis Blaydes' only loss in his entire career has been, if it wasn't for Francis Ngannou, the guy who put away Rosenstrike. I don't know how to say that guy's name, but in the first few seconds of the first round. So the guy who's going to be fighting for the, besides Stipe Miocic, has been making everybody look just like they don't even belong in the UFC. And besides Daniel Cormier, of course, way back. Let's see how. Yeah, Curtis Blaydes, he's trained his training partners. He's fighting out of a better camp as well. His training partners are like, after he beat Alistair Overeem, Alistair saw such great techniques and such greatness inside Curtis Blaydes that he switched camps and went to go train with Curtis Blaydes after losing to him. So that says a lot about Curtis Blaydes right there. So Curtis Blaydes, he's got 10 knockouts out of his entire 14 wins, and his only loss again was to Francis Ngannou twice. But out of 14 wins, 10 of his wins were by knockouts. So that's very impressive. And he did knock out Junior Dos Santos, so he does have some pretty, besides Alistair Overeem, who I also mentioned, he does have some other big names under his belt, like Mark Hunt, Alexis Olenek, who also Derek Lewis beat, but Derek Lewis did not look as good in that fight as Curtis Blaydes did. And Curtis Blaydes, they had to stop that fight because of a doctor stoppage. That's how badly he hurt Olenek. Okay, and so this I could definitely see this ending inside the distance. And he's gonna want to, with a name like Derek Lewis, a big name like that, somebody who's up there in the contention, he's gonna want to come out heavy. He's got everything Derek Lewis has, by the way. So like every threat that Derek Lewis has, Curtis Blaydes has the same ones, but better. He's the better version of Derek Lewis. He'll be in the better physical shape. He'll be the better wrestler. He'll be better at ground and pound. He's pretty much better at everything everywhere. So this is a mismatch on the feet, and because of the name value I was saying Derek Lewis has, I could see Curtis Blaydes coming in at his best and trying to get this out of the way. And if he could do some type of quick finish and take Lewis out early and impressively, besides a rematch with Ngannou, the only other matches that they would give Curtis Blaydes would be a title fight. So he's got a lot of incentive to want to look impressive and get this fight out of the way really quickly. And we've seen Derek Lewis, because he's not in the best shape. He's not like the type that has a six-pack or in very good physical shape. He's the type that you could take him out with a strike to the stomach or something like that. So like he's not going to be able to withstand, whether it's on the feet or on the ground, a lot of the punishment that the slightly bigger Curtis Blaydes is going to be dishing out. Okay, now let's go to another mismatch that I found for you guys that should be done very quickly, even quicker in my opinion. The last time, this reminds me of another deja vu I had. Josh Parson fighting against Parker Porter. The last time Parker Porter fought, I had put a lot of money on the underdog. I didn't understand why Chris Daukaus, one of the Daukaus brothers, who we just saw his brother Kyle Daukaus win impressively, who we cashed in on the winning by decision over 2.5, and single bet and parlay bets all hit thanks to Kyle Daukaus doing what exactly we thought he would do and how he would do it and when he would do it. Came through for us in every way. But his brother came in as a plus 300 underdog against Parker Porter for some reason, who's only got a 9-6 record, nothing impressive. Before his loss to Chris Daukaus, his last impressive victory was against somebody outside of the UFC, an organization called CES MMA, where he beat a guy who was on like a fight losing streak or 3-fight losing streak, so nothing impressive. And Josh Parson is going to be the way longer, way better shape fighter. He'll have a 4-inch reach, 4-inch height advantage. He'll be coming in after filling back up from the weight cuts. He'll probably be coming in about 30 pounds, 20 pounds bigger than Parker Porter will be. But he knows how to. Josh Parsons is one of those guys that he may be big and not look like he's in the best shape physically, but he's one of the very few people, unlike Parker Porter, who's going to be coming in looking as the person in the worst, even worse shape, and actually technically is the lighter guy, but because he's shorter, it'll look worse on him. But unlike Josh Parson, Parker Porter doesn't know how to use his weight to his advantage. He doesn't have good takedowns. He doesn't have good takedown defense. And Josh Parson knows how to make that size work towards his advantage very well. He knows how to take people down to the ground, put them against the cage, get the takedowns even easier. And then he knows how to do transitions on the floor. He knows how to do ground and pound. He's very good IQ. He had an impressive. He's coming off an impressive TKO in the first round on the Dana White Contender Series against a pretty formidable opponent in Chad Johnson. And before that, he had 5 other TKO wins, all in the first round except for one, which was in the second round. But so his last 8 out of 9 fights, all his 8 out of his last, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, actually 8 of his last wins were all first round knockouts except for one, which was a second round knockout. So that's how, and Parker Porter was put away in the first round by a less dangerous striker. Like Chris Daukaus is a good striker, but he's not as powerful. He's not as dangerous with one punch. And he was able to put away Parker Porter with one punch. So I can't imagine in any way Josh Parson not being able to do the same thing to him. And I like a lot of other things. He's not just a one-trick pony. He doesn't have to punch him with one hit and take him out to beat him. He's got excellent mixture of strikes. He does the low kick to the high kicks to the mid level strikes to the face to the body. He mixes it up very well. He uses his kicks and his reach advantage very well. His wrestling, takedowns, takedown defense, everything he does very, very well. So he doesn't move like a big guy. He looks like a Demetrius Johnson in a big man's body, you know. He moves like a little guy would. But but he also knows how to use his, like I said, his size towards for his advantage. You wouldn't see it as a disadvantage when you see how he uses it. Okay, and now he's coming in with some momentum. He's got his contract from the Dana White Series, and he wants to show them that he deserved it. So I see early impressive. I don't even know why Parker Porter's in the UFC anymore, to be quite frank, man. I mean, I know he had a fight against John Jones some years ago, a long time ago, but even then, back then, when he was in his prime, he was nothing impressive in him or UFC caliber, in my opinion, but definitely not now. I think when they see how quickly he gets put away again, they're going to have a hard time justifying why they would give him another fight in the UFC, because he's just not that level. All right, now let's go on to someone else we can talk about. All right, and I'll give you guys one more fight. This one, a lot of people will probably have trouble calling it, so I'll give you guys my opinion about it. It's going to be Spike Carlyle versus, I think Spike Carlyle might be the underdog here. I have to check. Oh no, he's actually the favorite. Okay, well, let's see if he opened up as a favorite. He did. This is going to be, I think it's a little bit off, because this should be a closer fight. Because here's the thing, Spike Carlyle, although I do have him getting the victory over Bill Alago, Bill Alago had one of his best performances in his last fight against Ricardo Lemos. And Ricardo Lemos is that guy's a legend. He's done so much in this sport. I just don't know if we've seen him at his best. So we might have had one of those nights where one guy came in at his best and the other guy kind of came in at his worst, and Blaydes still couldn't get the victory there. So, but here's the thing with Spike Carlisle. This is a guy who's got in one of his fights, he was able to get a knockout in 5 seconds. His fastest TKO in his career came inside 5 seconds of the first round. That's how dangerous this guy is. And in his last fight, I mean, he lost against, he's never lost 2 in a row in his career, and he's coming in off of a loss, which is why I definitely want to side with him, because he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's not going to mess around. Against Billy Q, if you guys remember, in one of the rounds, he walked away way before the fight, the bell had rung, and that could have made a big difference in the fight because it was a super close fight. I thought it was going to be like a split decision victory to maybe he could have even won, and a lot of people think that he did enough to win that fight. For some reason, the judges gave it to Billy Q. But here's the thing, man, judges are showing, like, even in the fights that they're getting them right with the people who won winning like they should have, they're still not scoring it right. Like, a lot of them should be 29-28s or 30-29s or 28-27s, whatever it is, like really close, and they're making them 30-27s, or they're not making them split decisions, and they're giving some rounds to the winner that they shouldn't have been given to them. So, like, it's hard to tell anymore. It's almost like they're not even counting what they're supposed to be counting. It's like they're getting paid to just watch without actually tallying down who's got the most this or the most of that. And if they did tally it down and actually use the number system that they're supposed to, of who's got the most significant strikes, who's got the most control time, who's got the most this and that, the fights would not be scored, that they would not be able to justify giving all 30-27 rounds to somebody else. For example, a big parlay bust. I had a special parlay I had given to everybody. It was a 6-leg parlay, paying 6.5, more than 6, almost 7-to-1 odds. That only fight that did not hit was a Daniel Rodriguez fight. But if you look back in the first round, he more than doubled his his opponent's significant strikes. He got taken down 0 out of 6 attempts. He got way more body kicks, body strikes, more head strikes, way more total strikes, more leg strikes. He did not get dominated anywhere. And, like, there's no areas that you could have said he lost in. And all 3 rounds, they gave it still to his opponent. So, like, why they're not, if this is happening, and when commentators that work for the company themselves are saying that's impossible, there's no way that could have happened, or they could have scored it that way, and when some people gave the fight to Felder, for example, or the Kay Hansen fight, or the Gamrot fights, or the Bobby Green fight, when this is starting to happen, or the what was that fight? Bozer fight. Like, when this is starting to happen once a week, every single week, they got to make some changes. Maybe, like, use computers instead of people, or have somebody to monitor and make sure that they're using the system correctly. And, like, but for some reason, there's no consequences. Nobody's making them answer to their decisions. And so this is going to continue to happen. So I've implemented a new system now where we're going to base off the parlays, unless it's a 2 or 3 leg parlay. Anything more than a 3-leg parlay is going to be based off of fights that I don't expect to go to the decision. So, like, the ones that I knew were going to be finished, like the Joaquin Buckley, the Figueiredos, the fights that we can be certain would not go to the decision cards will be the ones that I'll be more willing to put in bigger parlays. So I'm making some adjustments for next week. But the good thing, again, I said, is because of the odds, everything being a slight favorite at best, even the big favorites are not big favorites. They're paying only -300. So, and they're huge mismatches. So in my opinion, they should be -700, -600. Instead, they're only -300. So I do see value in those as well in parlays. So we'll take those and put them in parlays with people who we don't expect it to go to the decisions. And that's why I do see even 2 or 3 leg parlays being able to give us the same odds as last week's 6 or 7 leg parlays because we had way too many big favorites at way less paying odds. So this will be an excellent week. I think I expect it to be, not just because of the adjustments that we made in our system, our strategy, and our parlays, also, but because of the odds at where they're lined up. We're going to have our best week ever, especially if you're a patron, and you're going to get my duplicated bet slips you can use and take to your casino or use it at your bookie online website for your bookies to duplicate my exact same slips. You're going to make a killing this week. All right, guys, so those are my free breakdowns and picks and predictions. And if you want the rest of them, please make sure you subscribe or you join the Patreon. We got a lot of other mismatches and fights that you're going to want to put some money on that are lined up very well that you can make a killing off of. Stay tuned for the next video coming up. We're going to talk about the fades of the week, the underdogs more so, and some prop bets. And also look, I don't know if I'll have time to make the post weigh-in and face-off fights. Like the only time I missed it was last week, but you saw how essential and how important it was to have gotten that notification that my patrons got, because a lot of people's parlays got busted because of Louis Koski, and if you were a part of my club, you would have not been one of those victims. So thank you guys for your time. I see you guys on the next video.